Welcome back to AB in Focus. I'm Nicole Abigail, reporter at Arabian Business, and joining us today is Ling, the president of Mastercard for the Asia Pacific, Europe, and Middle East and Africa division, actually. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Now, jumping into the first question directly, what is your view of the current pressures facing global economies, and how is that impacting consumer spend as well?
Well, first of all, there's a lot of uncertainty right now, right? Inflation, geopolitics, trade conflict. But I'm actually quite cautiously optimistic that consumers are very resilient. That's what we see in our data. People are not stopping spending. It's just a shift sometimes in behavior. Yeah. The Europeans are not going to the US anymore. They're going to Japan, for example. People are not dining out as much. They're cooking at home. Sure. So you continue to see a lot of resilience in spend and consumer behavior. But really interesting is there are also so many things that are strong momentum for the economies around the world, especially AI. AI is going to drive more productivity improvement, and that's good for growth. And when growth is strong, and so long as the job prospects remain optimistic, that will translate into more jobs, more income, and more resilience for consumer spend. So I think looking around the world, I feel pretty good. There's some flashpoints, some uncertainty that we need to be aware of.
No, there's always uncertainty, but I'm glad to hear that you're optimistic about it, and everything that you mentioned is actually very true. Now, jumping a bit into how Mastercard is helping include the underbanked, because we know that there is an underbanked population. How are you including that into the financial ecosystem?
Yeah. First, I just need to boast a little bit. We have set some really ambitious targets, right? 1 billion consumers being included in the formal economy, and also millions, tens of millions of small businesses and women entrepreneurs. And we have hit those targets. We're very, very proud of those achievements. But I think we're not also at a stage where we need to shift the thinking about financial inclusion from access to real impact, real financial health. Let me give you some examples of what I mean by that. If you're a small business, you have a bank account, but there is no money in the bank account for financing your working capital, that doesn't do anybody any good, right? So oftentimes banks have trouble underwriting small businesses because they don't know enough about them, and they find them unprofitable because of the risk, right? When they go bad, you lose money. So I think with AI now, there's a real opportunity of forming a better 360 view of a small business, and therefore you can make much better underwriting decisions. You can extend credit at the right level without taking on additional risk. So Mastercard actually provides that additional level of insights, but also analytical rigor and algorithm to help our banks attract more small business consumers.
It really sounds like AI is playing a key factor into a lot of these things now.
100%. And it will only play a bigger role in the future, down the road as well.
Absolutely. And now the payment industry is one that's rapidly evolving. We know that for sure. We've seen the rise of key trends such as, like we mentioned just now, AI, stable coins. How are these kind of transform global commerce?
I think global commerce is going to become even more connected, even more global, even more transparent, but also even more automated. Okay. So in the end, my own view is it is not about stable coins or AI per se. As things get more automated, think about how consumers need to think about safety and security. So things around interoperability, because there are different stable coins, different currencies, interoperability becomes even more important. Because there's going to be a lot of automation, taking decision-making out of the individual consumer's hands in real time, because you have set certain conditions for agents to act on your behalf, then safety, security becomes even more important. So in the agentic commerce realm, we are actually in the business of certifying agents, right, to ensure those transactions are legitimate, and we will help with the authentication. So those are the things we're doing. Bottom line is this: if you ask an average consumer, do they really care about stable coins or US dollars or AI? No. They're looking for the simple truth of having a simple, safe, and smart experience. That's what they're solving for, and those are the solutions we have to deliver for the consumers.
That's very well said, actually. And now with payments becoming increasingly digital and interconnected, of course, how is Mastercard ensuring a secure and safe ecosystem for both consumer and businesses as well?
Yeah. I mean, the safety security thing you just mentioned is like priority number one, because we're in the business of moving money, and trust is such an important driver or enablement. If we lose that, we lose our business,
Sure.
right? So it's very critical for us, and we're doing everything in the space. We make tens of billions of investment in safeguarding our network by investing capabilities such as cybersecurity. We recently made an acquisition called Recorded Future, which will give us much better threat intelligence. So there's lots of attention to it. There's lots of investment, lots of capability building, because in the end, I think that is so important. I give you another example. When a consumer is spending and conducting their daily life in the global commerce world, inevitably they will leave behind a footprint,
yep,
or paper trail, or digital trail of their behaviors. So the last thing you want to do is for a fraudster to get hold of the real card credential, for example. Mm-hmm. So tokenization is a great technology. We use that in Apple Pay. It's a way to anonymize your real credentials, one time only. It's tied to the merchant that you're dealing with, tied to the specific transaction. If some criminal gets hold of it, it's of no use to them. So therefore, I think stuff like that technologies like that will be things we continue to invest in to protect our consumers.
Okay, I'm moving on to, as the APEMEA president, how do you leverage best practices across markets to unlock new opportunities of growth in such a diverse and dynamic region?
Yeah. First of all, I would say actually across the markets, there are more commonalities than nuances. But this best practice sharing is a very important point. Multiple things have to come together. I think we need innovation. We need to share data. It's also a technology issue. But more importantly, Mastercard is a B2B model. So to accomplish what you just said in terms of sharing best practices, we also need to partner with all the business partners we have on the ground level. So it is innovation, it is technology, it is data, it is also partnership. Those things all have to come together to enable us to share best practices across the company. But internally, though, I think you just spoke to the importance of the strategic blend of putting insights, organizational agility, and a winning mindset together. I think without those, what is the motivation for sharing? I think in the end, our employees all intuitively understand success breeds success, and success in my region can be really good for other regions to learn from as well. So it's kind of our DNA now when people would just reach out to talk about, hey, I did this in Europe, is this something you can leverage in the Middle East? Or I've seen this great example of success in the Middle East, Asia may be able to use it. People also reach out to other parties in the company to try to understand what has been done so we don't have to reinvent the wheel. In the end, I do believe Mastercard has developed this culture. It's like a muscle we have developed, and it's part of our organizational DNA now.
It seems to be working. Sounds like there's exciting times ahead as well. A lot of technology in play. I'm very excited to see where this goes. But thank you so much for your insight today, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for your kind words.